Hey everyone, welcome to my class picking guide. The goal of these videos is a quick overview of the play style of each class rather than a comprehensive class guide. For this video in this new series, we'll be looking at the Vagabond Swordsman class, or Vega for short. A knight specialization which turns into God of Sword when you complete your third job. Vega plays differently to Commander by ditching its shield in favor of specializing in a two-handed sword gameplay. While Vega is not as tanky as Commander, it is still very tanky in its own right, with high defense, HP, and a parry to help completely block damage. Vega can easily output huge damage with its two-handed sword. I plan to give all classes a rating out of 5 for their difficulty to play in PvE and PvP. This is strictly in comparison to each other, and I'm not saying they're easy or hard compared to other games, and this is of course my opinion. So for Vega, I've given it a 2.5 difficulty rating, in PvP and in PvE a 2 out of 5 difficulty rating. The reason the PvE one is 2 out of 5 is just because Vega's so tanky. It's helpful when you're grinding, especially early game. That tankiness gives you that survivability. You have more defense, you have more HP to rely on, which is quite nice, especially when monsters respawn quickly. It's not as basic, I mean, I suppose it could be if you're just auto-attacking. You do a lot of damage with a decently pimped two-hander, but ultimately you're going to use skills, and rotating those skills does require a little bit of brain power, I guess. 2 out of 5 again. So yeah, so you're going to use Powerful Upper Slash, Half Swing to charge Brutal, got Berserk to rely on as well sometimes, so there is a little bit of thought that goes into it. PvP, basically very similar reasons. 2 out of 5 or 2.5 out of 5 is because you do have those skills to rotate. You've got Rush as well to throw in there as well. So there are a few things to think about. Your positioning is kind of important, because if you throw yourself into the mix, there is danger to that even if you are tankier. So you do have to think about where you're going in when you're engaging and things like that. You don't have range to rely on. So also your timing with Berserk will be important there as well. So a few things to think about, and checking constantly if Brutal is ready to go, if you've charged it enough, if a good time to use Berserk, like I said. So yeah, there's a few things to think about. Again, it's not really that complicated, but nothing I think is truly that complicated about Kal. So in that sense, I think 2.5 out of 5 is fair. The core ability for Vega is Powerful Upper Slash, or PUS for short. This skill has 4 grades starting at level 50 and takes your current damage and adds a % increase to it, which goes up to 75% when maxed out. Vega also has Half Swing, which is a very small AoE, but otherwise is similar to Powerful Upper Slash in terms of how the damage is scaled on your % of your attack, leading to 100% when maxed at grade 5. These two, as mentioned, combine to charge Brutal attack. Each kind of gives you an increased charge up to level 5, I think, when it's maxed for Brutal. So Brutal is Vega's most powerful ability and can be made even more lethal when you combine it with Vega's self-buff Berserk, which sacrifices your defense for greatly increased damage for the duration. All of these abilities are great in PvE and PvP, but for more PvP exclusive usage, for the most part, Vega has Rush, a gap closing ability that lands and then usually will add a successful stun at the end. This is hugely useful for obvious reasons in PvP. Vega is also more deadly at level 61 when it gains access to a huge crit power increase, very similar to Expert Archer. Playing Vega is for those who want to live out that classic warrior class fantasy, somewhat more forgiving than other classes in PvE early on, thanks to its bulk, but you can't really go wrong with it as it carries its usefulness throughout every stage of the game. It's never bad, and while it continues to be a huge threat in PvP, it especially is lethal in the early lower level 50 stages of the game before archers can develop enough evasion to give them a chance to survive. A quick word on third job as God of Swords gains Spin Slash, which carries a huge AoE damage that can be charged to be stronger, exactly like Brutal with a Powerful Upper Slash and Half Swing charging it. At level 75, they gain Sword Dance, a purely single target damage shred that is great for bosses and for PvP. That wraps that up. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you plan to play Vega, and I'll see you on the next video.